Okay, so we've come outside for a quick update on this one. As you can see, we've shaped the neck, taken from that sort of rough cut one. First off, using a belt sander to get the curves on the back, and you can take the curves down more than this, but actually for a cigar box, I quite like the sturdiness of it. Also shaped out the head a bit more, and the area where the nut's going to sit, and the curve for the headstock we've taken back at an angle from the nut down to the bottom of the thumb brace here. So if we look at the other end, I've actually cut a section out along here, down to ½ an inch at the back, with a race part here, which is where the bridge will screw to and come through the sound hole on the body of the guitar. And this is just basically to give some extra space for the front of the can to vibrate and to give us room to fit the pickups. Now we are going to be cutting down this section of the fingerboard here because obviously it's too long with overhanging the guitar. So at the minute that's set for about 24 frets. We're going to take it probably down to about 19 just so that it comes over, but that was just a bit of preparation to start with, just so that we know we've got enough space there. Main reason we brought it outside is because we are going to be treating it today with Danish oil. And the thing about Danish oil is it oxidizes and creates heat, and so the rags you use for it do have a tendency to self-combust if you're not careful. So the best thing to do is keep them in an old jar between coats, and ideally throw them out as soon as you're done. Don't let them pile up because they can spontaneously combust, and obviously that's going to cause a huge problem. Right, so generally the way that people say about applying Danish oil is to flood it completely until it can't absorb anymore and then wipe off the excess. I prefer to do it slightly differently. I prefer to give it several coats. Hopefully you can see that bringing the grain out in this piece of wood. This piece of Meranti, when it's oiled, is absolutely gorgeous. But I prefer to give it lighter coats, wiping off the excess obviously once you've applied a coat, leave it to dry, and then rub it down with wire wool before I apply the next coat, and building up coats in that way. I just prefer the finish it gives, and you get a much deeper colour, and it's much more controlled because that way you can also stop and start applying wax instead. And you'd be amazed at the difference you get from the number of coats that you apply in this way. You can either end up with a really dark piece of wood or reasonably light, and then waxed afterwards, and it gives a completely different finish to the instrument. So it's all dependent on personal preference and the body that you're using for that particular guitar. So I think we've pretty much got the entire neck there that's going to be showing outside. So I'll just lid back on there and put the rag. I mean, obviously I've used this one quite a bit, but keep it in the jar, stops the oxygen getting to it, and as long as you keep it outside, so far I've had no problems with spontaneous combustion there. So give that a minute to soak in, and rub down the excess, make sure that there's not too much on the neck. And also giving it a coat helps you spot any places where you haven't quite sanded enough, where there's any deep scratches showing or anything like that. But I mean, if you look, we've got two completely different colours here, and that's just all natural in the wood, and that goes straight up and through the headstock as well. I've actually got like a line across here where it's darker and almost blacker on this side, and more sort of golden on the other side. and it just gives such incredible features to a finished guitar. But yeah, so that's it for that one. We've got to get back to working on the frame in the box lid soon, so we'll give this a few more coats and see how it goes.